Hi everybody, how's it going today? Thought I'd make a quick Q&A video. I've got Ian here with me. He wanted to get out and play on the sand pile here for a little bit, but I think he's going to figure out pretty quick that it's a little chilly in this wind. There was a few questions that I wanted to talk about from the last video. And I thought I'd show you guys this quick. So this is the last of the Earlage that we have piled on the clay out here. It was actually a pretty good sized pile. We're in the process of putting on the last tires on the silage pile. We put plastic on last night with the wrestling club, and we have a few loose tires left. And as you can see, we've started putting more tires on this Earlage pile. These tires that are laying here, these came from that silage pile out in the field. So as we open up that pile and the sorghum pile and the Earlage pile that we're feeding from now, we'll put those tires on the spots of these other piles that are bare until they're all completely covered, and then we'll pile them up like these are here. We'll stack them with forks so that we can easily go in and grab a bunch again. We started doing that last year and it actually works pretty good, keeps them a little bit more organized. It's kind of windy here. I'm going to see if Ian wants to come in the side-by-side and then I'll answer some of these questions. It's a little bit warmer here in the side-by-side, isn't it, Ian?
Yeah.
This is the Earlage pile that we're feeding from right now, and one of the questions that...
Papa, let me out, please.
You want to go out?
Yeah.
It's cold out there.
No.
Huh?
Are you out there with me, please?
Okay. Okay, I'll be right out, okay? So one of you asked if we've ever made high moisture corn, and we did a couple years, 2019 and 2020 we made high moisture corn, and I do like high moisture corn. I think it might actually even be a little bit better than Earlage because you really get that corn ground to powder, but it's more work. You have to combine the corn and then come back and put it through a grinder again. So we like Earlage because it's a one-step process. The chopper goes through, takes the Earlage off, and it's already ground into what you see here, and we can feed it like that. Where with high moisture corn, there's an extra step. It just takes a little bit more work, and you have to have somebody that's willing to combine the corn at that moisture, and not everybody wants to do that. The other question I had was about higher piles, if we could go higher with the piles, and a couple of you asked that, and I think we could go higher, but we'd need more packing tractors. And the height that we are now, it's pretty comfortable. The tractors don't have to worry about sliding off the edge or making it difficult for them to turn around. And it's the height that we are now with our silage pile, we can easily reach with a payloader for defacing the pile, for scraping off the silage. And if we go any higher, it would make it more difficult to keep a nice face, I guess, and it would make it a little bit more dangerous. Another question that you guys asked was about if we plant corn specifically for Earlage and silage, and we do. So after this harvest is done, I'll start talking to our neighbors about corn for next year, and we'll start picking varieties for our own acres for next year, and we'll have that figured out before spring, and our neighbors will know if they'll be planting Earlage or silage, and I'll give them some recommendations, I guess, for what kind of corn I'm looking for either one. So we'll have we can switch things up at harvest if I think we need more silage or Earlage, but typically those acres are already figured out before springtime. And then another question one of you guys asked was about cover crops or cold weather crops that are planted after silage. And we've seeded some rye a couple of years ago. It only grew probably a couple inches in the fall because it was pretty dry, and then we didn't get much growth out of it in the spring because it continued to be dry that spring. We seeded some rye again this fall after the silage was taken off on two of our fields. But it's pretty dry again this fall, and it's pretty late already. We've gotten some freezing temperatures at night now. Not much for moisture in the forecast, so I'm not sure that we'll get much, if any, growth. we'll need some moisture over the winter or in the spring to get some growth out of that rye. And it's mainly going to be for a cover crop unless we get a really early spring with good moisture and it gets good growth in the spring. Then we might consider harvesting it to feed it to our heifers, but otherwise it's going to be just a cover crop, and we'll go back to corn on that field. The last question was one of you guys asked about, or maybe a couple of you asked, what we do about the corn stalks, or if we do any fall tillage. And we typically, the only tillage we'll do in the fall would be manure application. So the manure applicator has a straight disc on it, I guess, that injects the manure into the ground. That'd be the only, Ian just got scared from that dump truck there. That'd be the only fall tillage we typically do. We do have an inline ripper, and we'll take that across compacted areas and low spots that seem to get really compacted. I'm not sure yet if we'll have time for that this fall. It was pretty late, done pretty late with corn silage. We're already middle of October. Usually we're in the middle of September when we're harvesting silage and earlage. So I'm not sure we'll have time for that, but if we do, we'll do some inline ripping, and I'll show you guys if we do that. Those were the questions that I wanted to answer for you guys. Really glad to be done with silage and harvest. Always feels good to have the majority of your feed in the pile for the next 12 months. And we'll start planning for next year's silage, I guess. And really appreciate everybody that helped us out during silage, especially Jason's crew, the chopping crew, the guys that were packing the silage, all of our guys that helped put tires and plastic on, the wrestling crew, and Ian and Eli's grandma and grandpa, Taryn's mom and dad. They've helped us out a lot. They always help us out a lot, but especially in this last 3-4 weeks when Taryn had to work, or Taryn was doing the tickets in the scale building. They watched Ian and Eli, and they're going to with Taryn's parents again this weekend. I really appreciate everybody's help that we had during this silage season, and I guess that'll be the end of the video here. Appreciate you guys watching, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one.